Welcome back, everybody. We'll go ahead and open up the questions for Coach Sumlin in advance of Arizona's Pac-12 opener against Oregon State this week.
Kevin, after looking at the tape, what positives really stood out to you about the way this played?
Well, there's a number of things. We played a lot of people. That a lot of young guys got in. I think, whether or not they're going to continue to be in the rotation, we'll see. Just because you've heard me talk about the new redshirt rule. So there are a number of freshmen that were in the game that showed that they can do some things and keep them interested. I thought, we moved the ball well. And as we said on Monday, we wanted to create more explosive plays, and we did that Saturday, and more explosive runs too, not just through the air. So, plays of 20, 25 yards or more. So, I thought that there were some, our line play did improve, but we'll see this week as we, step back into conference play. So there's some good things there. Some obviously in the kicking game to get a score and on a kickoff return. So there were some positives, but as I said Saturday night, there's still a lot of work to do.
What are you seeing from the defense in those third down and fourth down situations?
Well, that's been a big emphasis last week. I think we talk as a team about goals, about third down offensively. And wanting to be 40% or better on offensive conversion rate on the third down, which is pretty good, and we've been able to reach that. We've been 40% or higher for the first three games. Conversely, we have not met our goal on defense. And that get that needs to be around 35% or lower, and we haven't done that. And you go back and look at this, even the first game, there were some critical third downs that BYU made, and that kept drives alive and were really the difference in the game. And so, we're looking at that plan. We've talked about it. What that looks like is different for different teams. So, but the bottom line is we haven't reached hit our goals on third down. Conversion rate on defense against our opponents, and that's kept them on the field and allowed them to score points. So, it all goes hand in hand. Is it third and short? Is it third and long? It's been the third and medium. It's been all three, and that's something that we're working hard to shore up.
What's the message to your team starting Pac-12 play this week?
The message has been the same as we started. Is that we got to get better every week, and for us. Our approach has been, we are working on us and trying to develop depth, develop continuity, and regardless of the opponent. And so, yeah, I think you got a combination of two things. You're in the conference play, but you're also on the road again. So we're working on a lot of things, and so that message is more generally about. Is an internal message instead of an external message.
How do you assess Tony Fields' play for the first 3 games?
Well, I think he played quite a bit. They've been getting a lot of reps. I think what you saw Saturday was a rotation to get both he and Schooler off the field a little bit more, and to get Pandy and Lee Anderson in there because it's a long season. And I think he and Schooler have been solid. I think they've made a lot of tackles. They've gotten this lined up, but we were really kind of emphasized the rotation last week, and you saw Pandy. Actually, he got the first sack, right? So, he's done some things on special teams that have been really, really solid, and if he can continue to play the way he did. At times it's not instead of sporadically, but being consistent with he and Lee, and then we can rotate those guys. And if we do that, I think that they're going to be able to play even faster and even better when they're out there.
What have you observed The on-field connection between Tate and Ellison.
Tony's one of those guys that you just keep looking at practice and you go back and you watch tape and all he does is get open it's all the time, and you look at him at practice and you're like, yeah, he's all right. And then, every Saturday he just makes plays. And there's guys like that. He's it's a joke, but it's true, but it's a joke. You talk about, what's your job as a receiver? Number one's to get open. Number two is catch the ball. And he does both of those very well. Khalil knows that. We all know that. And at critical times. So he's been as consistent as a player as on this team for the first 3 games. And he's been effective. So, he knows what he's doing. He likes to play the game, and he's a heck of a competitor. And I think that kind of attitude can be contagious. And I think it throughout that group and throughout the team.
Upon further review, did you see anything new or different about Khalil that you didn't necessarily notice on Saturday night in his performance?
No, I think what I said earlier was Saturday night. I said he was pretty accurate, with in the passing game. I thought that there were a lot less risky throws, forced into things. And I think he moved the team and he got out of the pocket. He had a couple runs. Obviously, he got loose on the fumble, but he got a little bit worried about that ankle right then when we ran him. So but again, he came back and managed the game, and I thought he did a pretty good job of taking his shots when he needed to, moving around the pocket when he needed to. But just like everybody, we're all a work in progress, we just need to continue to get better in those things, those areas we just talked about. Our third down conversion was pretty good last night. I mean, Saturday night on offense, it wasn't good on defense, but we were able to score some points and create some explosive plays, and force a turnover, get a couple sacks, and some things that we haven't done in the first 2 games.
With your passing game, obviously in a game like that, maybe with a lesser opponent, you're going to have more time to throw the football. How much of your offense operates in an internal clock versus, who you're playing? Like, we still want you to get rid of the ball in a certain amount of time versus.
No, that's all the time, So I think in a game like that, the big plays overshadow, the consistency of the intermediate passing game, and an RPO style. So the ball's coming out, and based on some different things in defense. But I think when you have a game like that and there's so many explosive plays, it looks like, well, that's all we're doing. That's not the case.
How would you describe the way your new offensive line combination worked?
I think it was, as I said Saturday night, to get Lath back is a combination of attitude and experience. And so, that was, those 5 guys went for a long time. We were able to get some backups in at the end, but obviously when you have 600 yards, that just doesn't come by the quarterback or the running back. So they were effective Saturday night, and we now I think we can get some continuity if we stay healthy, and then we'll see where we are this weekend. As you said, step back into conference play, and we'll have a better feel for what they really are after Saturday afternoon.
Talked the last 2 weeks about your offensive line having to play a lot these last 2 days. What ideally would you want that rotation to be in terms of numbers?
I don't know. I mean, these games have been crazy. It's we run 100 plays and had 18 points. Last week we ran 60 plays and had 60-some points. So, whatever's effective. And we'll get to, whatever it takes to win games. And certainly the 5 that started Saturday, we needed to play them quite a bit together for continuity, for communication. And I don't see that changing much, barring, as I said, barring injury.
What has stood out to you from the way Gary Brightwell has played running the football?
Yeah, I thought he ran hard. I thought, he's you know, from moving from really a slot receiver to running back, I think he's done a nice job. He gives us a little bit bigger guy than JJ. It's a good change of pace. You know, I said before a couple weeks ago, we like to play 2 or 3 different guys to keep them healthy and to keep them fresh. And I think Gary has done nothing but get better. I mean, he missed a couple runs, a couple holes or cuts in the zone game, but that's in the first 2 games. But you see on video that, hey, he made those cuts the other night. He's getting better, which is a good thing, because you know that can get us. We can get a rotation there and keep those running backs fresh. He's been a great addition to the backfield.
You dressed and played 5 running backs in this game. None of them was Nathan Tilford. What is his status?
But he's just not where those guys are right now. So that's where he is.
How much can you say about where he needs to improve most?
Who's that?
Nathan, where he needs to make the most improvement.
I think, you know, it's just like anything else. You know, we play guys based on performance in practice and consistency, and you know, you're going to make mistakes, but let's do it. If that happens, let's make sure we're going where we need to go, and we can put you on the field. So this is a performance-based business and operation, and it's not to say that Nate's not is doing anything wrong or anything like that. You know, we play the guys who perform and practice the best, and that's how you earn playing time. That's the only fair way I know how to do it.
And I guess along those same lines, in terms of Michael Elatise, is it kind of the same thing?
It's just how we do it, you know. So it's our job. My job is to get the best players on the field to give us the best chance to win, and that's earned, not given. So you know, that's earned in practice. That's earned in competition. That's earned in you know, knowing what you're doing. So you know, there's no conspiracy theory. There's no anything. It's just, hey, look, here's the guys who are doing the best during practice. Here are the guys who have earned the right to start. Here are the guys who've earned the right to play. And believe me, we want to play as many people as we can, because that makes us a better team. So there's nothing more to it than that.
You have to prepare any differently against alternating quarterbacks, and what was so different about Oregon State in the second half than how they played in the first half against Nevada?
I think it was a combination of things. Nevada played pretty well in the second half and made some plays. You know, I think, you know, the preparation piece for the 2 quarterbacks is not as drastic as maybe some seen. You know, both of them threw it quite a bit. They have 2 really good running backs. You know, you've got one guy who leads the league right now in rushing, and you know, a big tight end and a receiving tight end, and the receiver had 200 yards last week in that game. So between the 2 quarterbacks, so you know, I don't think they're going to change very much their philosophy with the 2 quarterbacks, and because they both threw it. But I think they're going to lean. They have leaned pretty heavily on the running game, because the 2 backs are really good running backs. And I think, you know, as I said, he's leading the league at 130 a game. So I don't see him going too far away from that.
Is there any benefit to the fact that you just played Southern Utah, that just played Oregon State, so you might have already been able to get an early look on your opponent?
There's some, but there's some for Oregon State too, right? So you know, there's some of that.
How much planning goes into the new redshirting rules? Do you have a big master plan for that?
Yeah, we do. I talked about it from this summer, you know, and I'll tell you what happens is, you know, a year ago, or in the old days, as you like to say, you know, you're worried about games like that Saturday night. You know, do we play them? Do we not play them? What's our plan to play them for the rest of the year? You know, and then, or those discussions with the player before the game, or with parents. I mean, we have those discussions about, we used to in the old days, about redshirting and if he's going to play and what that plan is. And, you know, that there's a little bit of relief on that when, you know, you can play a guy in 4 different games at any time. And so to really get him that experience that, hey, so if we have an injury, if we have a setback, if we have something, game 7, 8, 9, 10, that he's been in the game, he's prepared during the week. Because, you know, you're on the scout team, you're basically, you've got 2 sets of guys. You've got the guys who are preparing for Oregon State this week, and then you've got the guys who are being Oregon State this week. They're running their offense, they're running their defense, they're running their special teams. They're not spending the time offensively, defensively, schematically in your scheme over the course of those weeks. And so, you know, there's a retention situation that can be difficult for young guys. But with this rule, you know, you're rotating guys around from scout team to actually practicing your schemes and keeping them engaged, because, you know, they might play and they might play without, you know, consequence of losing a year of eligibility.
I'm just thinking in terms of that redshirt rule, that could change the way teams schedule from the standpoint that maybe now you play 2 to 3 lesser opponents so you can get a better look at more kids in those first 3 games. I don't think it's gonna affect scheduling. You know, I really don't. I think what it affects is it affects your practice plan. You know, for these guys to be able to be there, and also it affects your travel roster. You know, instead of some guys you just brought along for the experience, or, you know, you may have rewarded some of the best guys on players of the week, the scout team guys that go on the trip. You're bringing guys that can get in the game right now, and without, as I said, without consequence of losing a year of eligibility.
Along those lines, you brought 5 quarterbacks to Houston. I'm guessing you're probably not planning to play 5 quarterbacks. What's the thought process in having that many quarterbacks for a road?
Well, we got you know, 2 really young guys that are working real hard, and I think it's important that you know, they're able to experience what goes on the road, the preparation that goes on, and we, you know, we like to have a lot of arms to warm up. To be honest with you, because you know, when it's 100 degrees or whatever it was on the field, and we're warming up, you know, we just don't need Khalil to throw 75 balls before the game, and you know, because we got a lot of guys out there throwing footballs, and so that only helps. But I also think, like I said, for young guys, particularly at that position, to travel, to understand what's going on, and the communication on the sideline during games. And if you watch closely, those guys are right around. They're right around Noel, they're right around me, they're right around everybody on the sideline, and understanding, you know, what that communication piece looks like, and you know, and that's valuable experience, I think, particularly in critical situations.
You only played obviously 2 quarterbacks in these first 3 games. How many had you hoped to potentially get into a game?
I don't know. I mean, that's about where we were, you know, in the these first 3 games. Obviously, you'd like to play more guys, but you know, we were still trying to, based on the last 3 weeks, you know, we wanted to get some more rhythm and consistency for Khalil, and not just him as a player, but it goes back to your original question about the offensive line, you know, and the communication with those guys, snap counts, things like that, the little things that, you know, may take for granted, you know, with just his cadence, his voice inflection, the communication of changing plays, protections, things like that, you know, with a new offensive line. I thought we had a great opportunity to do that Saturday night, but as I said, we got to continue to get better.
After 3 games, Khalil still hasn't run the ball very much. Are we at a point where what we see is what we get in terms of the offense and Khalil for the rest of the season?
Well, I think there was a reason for that Saturday, and that was based on what happened the Saturday before, right? And so he took off one time, and I mean, we had a design run. He took off. We had a fumble and another ankle twist. So, you know, we're going to play to his strengths, play to our strengths, and you know, he wasn't 100% healthy going into that game, but he was still effective with the way he ran the offense.
He seemed more engaged on the sideline with his teammates. Is that just a product of having success in the game, do you think?
You mean as opposed to?
The editorial decisions that the Pac-12 crew made showing him, I don't know, but just watching the replay, it just seemed like he was like celebrating.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
hugging them.
I think he struggled a little bit the week before with that ankle didn't feel very well, and I think that it's a heck of a lot easier to move around and do things with something like that. Where I think the week before, if that's what you're asking, the conversation was, how are you? Are you going to be able to go to the next series? And then he obviously in this deal, I didn't see that. I see him in a defensive huddle in every game. Before the defense goes on the field, the majority of the time, I look up and he's in the huddle, patting guys on the head before they get on the field. So, it might be an editorial or a lot of.
So, given all the injuries on defense, do you know who's going to be available for Saturday today?
No, not today. No, I'm just being honest with you. No, not right now. We have a guess, but we'll get on the field today, and then as the week progresses, we'll have a better feel for that.
Going back to the quarterback topic, how would you describe the play from Rhett when he was in the game this past 2 weeks?
He's played well. What was he, 5 for 6 at Houston, right? In his opportunities, and we didn't really want to throw it much when he was in there. The game was over, and just run the clock and get out of there. But he operates the offense as well as anybody. He's assertive. He's takes care of the ball. He's done a nice job.
That will do it for today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.